P-38s and P-47s. And by the end of the war, they were all Mustangs except one, the 56 Thunderbolt unit. And I think they owned the Pioneer unit, and so they kept them. Anyway, so we come along, and we're the second unit to get the Mustang. So the 8th Air Force got us. We were the first one into the 8th Air Force. Now, there's some important things. I talked to you about the concept of strategic warfare. And the Air Corps was so anxious to prove this theory. This was their opportunity. And what we had to do, we had to destroy the Luftwaffe before we could have the invasion. That was clear to everybody. And they weren't doing a very good job about it. So about the end of the year, they had a stand down. And they had a command change. And General Jimmy Doolittle took over the 8th Air Force. I don't think I have to introduce him to you guys. You probably already all know who he is. And he was a different kind of a guy. And he came from General Arnold put him in position, and he said, "Now look, we've got to destroy the Luftwaffe." So he came in, and he had a different background. He owned bombers. He'd done all kinds of darn things, flying fighters and everything else. And we had this, the 8th Air Force, because it was run by bomber pilots, they told us how to escort. They said, "We want you to be close to us. We want you to," one meeting he said, "We want you to fly formation with us, and when the Germans come through, fire your guns." Come on, give me a break. And drive the enemy away, come back. And actually we had an altitude limit. You could go to 18,000 feet, and you had to break it off, come back up, close escort. We started flying about this time that Doolittle took over the 8th Air Force. And here it is, it's 1944 now. And the invasion is scheduled for the summer of 44. And we got this powerful Luftwaffe over there that just doesn't want to die. And so Doolittle made his first visit to the 8th Fighter Command. He had a bomber command, 8th Fighter Command, and he had a boat. And he walked in this door, and I read this in his book. And there was a sign over the door. It said, "The mission of the 8th Fighter Command is to bring the bombers home safely," something like that. And General Doolittle said, who put that up there? Jim Kepner, he said, "I don't know. It was here when I got here." He said, "Well, tear it down." He said, "The mission of the 8th Fighter Command is to destroy the Luftwaffe." And he says, "From now on, you fighter pilots, when you engage the enemy, you pursue and destroy." It was an official policy. And so, wow, he turned the eagerest bunch of fighter pilots loose you ever saw. No more restrictions. We were really upset about it. that we were not allowed to, go after them. And now, he's turned us loose. And the spring of 1944, as most historians agree, that's when we broke the back of the Luftwaffe. And how did we do it? We did not do it by bombing the factories and bombing the airfields and things like that. We killed their experienced pilots in aerial combat and destroyed their capability to put up big shows anymore. And this allowed the invasion of Europe to proceed. General Eisenhower told the troops, if you see an airplane above, it's going to be ours. And I was led to believe that not one German airplane came up on D-Day. That's not true. I read a German pilot book. And the famous German ace and the wingman made a pass down the beaches. But that's all. That's incredible. And that meant that that we had done our job before the invasion. That's incredible. And I flew on D-Day, by the way, and it was the longest mission I ever flew, 6 hours and 55 minutes. But we took off in the dark, in 2 squadrons and overcast, and flew down to the, flew down to the, what they had. It's interesting because what they had the whole 9th Air Force for close air support, and you had 15 fighter groups in the 8th Air Force. So what did they do with them? They put a big ring around the back side of Normandy. And we took off at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was really dark. And so we get down to this area, south. We were actually south of Normandy, and we had our navigation lights on and everything. And I'm the numbered second flight. There was 4 with the group commander, and then my 4 were the second guys. And I said, Jesus, we're going to get lost down here. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I slid underneath him, and I could look up, and I could see the blue engine exhaust. So I said, well, that's a good place to be. And I found out that Bill O'Brien, another flight leader, he said, you know, Bud Anderson doesn't get lost, so I'm going to kind of follow him. He got underneath me. And I don't know the 4th flight. I don't know what they did. But we went down there, and the daylight comes, and here's the group commander with a wingman. His other element's gone. There's me by myself, and then Bill O'Brien, the other flight leader. And so we had a flight of 4 with the group leader. At least we didn't get, that was a whole group, 4 airplanes. It was supposed to be 2 squadrons. I don't know where some of them went. 2 of our guys absolutely disappeared. Never did find out what happened to them. Probably went into the ocean. So, okay, so next line. That's a good day in England. You know, weather was a real factor in all the things we did over there. And I could go on and on about it, but I want to move on. Next slide. Go to the next slide. Pretty pictures here, right? Everybody knows what contrails look like. Christmas contrails, sometimes they stay there for hours. Can you imagine what 1,000 bombers and another 1,000 fighters must have looked like on the ground over Germany? I think it had to have been kind of intimidating. Oh, but you know, the last time I gave this talk, right here, and I must have been out in the hangar, and I was talking about this, and afterwards, a little German lady came up to me, and she said, "We weren't worried about those white things up there. We were worried about all that stuff. We were shooting them at you, and it had to come back down." You know, what goes up has to come down, right? Next slide. More pretty pictures. Okay, I gotta tell you my crew chief story. How many crew chiefs we got in here? Yeah, we got a few. I think I had the best crew you could ever possibly want to have. I picked him out when I was at Tonopah, Nevada, being a flight leader. We had priority over the people. So that was one of the privileges. We could have an airplane where we didn't have enough airplanes for everybody to have a personal airplane and a personal crew chief. So, and Otto Heino here, and then Leon Zimmerman, my armor. Otto didn't even want an assistant crew chief. He was so proud of his work. And the one thing that got to me was when I was flying the P-39s, we had this armor windshield, this big heavy glass right in front of us like that. And then the gun sight, I wish I had two hands. The gun sight was right up against it, and you couldn't get into it. It was very, very close. And of course, dust would collect in there and get real cruddy. And it's right in front of where you're looking. And Otto came out to me and he said, "Hey, this airplane, what can I do to make it better for you?" I said, "Well, one thing, I'd like to get that darn gun sight combining glass clean." And I knew what that meant. And I had to disassemble it, pull it out, clean it, put it back, and then you'd have to refire the guns in. It was a work intensive. So I came back the next morning, and I get in the airplane, and I look at it, and it's crystal clear. Otto, how'd you do that? He says, "Oh, I found a turkey feather," and I went in there and cleaned it all out. He was ingenious, and he loved to do things with his hands. And after the war, he became a very famous potter. And he made a lot of money after the war. I went to his 95th birthday party, and he let me talk to people about his war activities. Rather, these were all pottery kind of people. He was so famous, and he hired a whole restaurant to have his going away party. I mean, his birthday party. As it turned out, though, he said, I'm going to make it to 100 when he died that summer. And he was a great guy. classic P-51 canopy, and it had 6 guns versus 4 guns, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the 6 guns. So we were painting them, still painting them camouflage like this. After D-Day, we weren't worrying about how they looked too much. We were silver, all silver airplanes, half and half, camo airplanes, and everything. So the first snow hit in November over Germany, big heavy snow over there. And I'm looking down at the flight of 4, 2 of them are camouflage and 2 of them were natural aluminum. Well, which one stood out? You know, the dark ones, the camouflage ones stood out. So I came back from this mission and I was there, and Otto had been promoted to tech sergeant. He had 6 airplanes to oversee, but he was always there to see me off, and even when I came back. And so they want to know how the mission went and everything, and I told them and all this, and the airplanes. But when it's laid up for heavy maintenance, I was telling them about the snow. I said, would you please de-paint the airplane into a natural aluminum paint scheme? And I kind of nodded, and I said, but you know, when it's up for heavy maintenance, but please try that. So I come out the next morning, get my parachute, and I was real close to my revetment. I walk out, climb up over the revetment. Next slide. And I look down, and there's my Mustang. Aluminum. Jesus, I look at these guys, and they were kind of half-assed. He had handpicked Brent and Cucci for me, Schumann, and they were kind of standing there, attention, not really, but and they had a sheepish look on their face, and I'm looking at this thing, and I looked at their hands, and their hands were raw. You know, they used 145 grade fuel to clean that skin, the paint off the thing. And I felt like an ass, like a jerk. I said, my God, did they think I gave them a direct order to do that? And I thought about it a little bit, and I said, no. They wanted to do that. They started that as soon as I disappeared from that flight. They worked straight through the night to get that airplane ready. And then I can't say enough about the crew chiefs of the world. You guys fly pilots. And you got a crew chief around, I suggest you pat him on the back once in a while. Those guys really work for you. Okay, so next slide. Okay, here we go. These are the 4 top guns of the 367 fighter group. By the way, our group shot down close to 600 enemy airplanes in aerial combat in 14 months. The historic units over there, the 4th group and the 56th group, the ones that got all the USAF and all the visits from the Queen. They had about that, and they've been over there a couple of years. So our claim to fame is that we shot down airplanes faster than anybody. And we had 42 aces, and I think that's more than any other fighter group. Peterson, Carson. He was the top gun with 18. Whoops. Johnny England Air Force Base in Louisiana. That's the guy you're named after. And young Bud Anderson over there, all around 15 to 18 victories. Okay, now we're going to see the show, the video. I hope we're going to see the show.
Oh, no. You want me to do this?
Are we going to be able to do this?